Okay. Welcome to another edition of Pulp Nonfiction. Today I have with me Dr. Lina Jung of Vancouver and the Okanagan and Vania Ng of Vancouver. Lina graduated from dental school from University of Toronto back in 1997. You did a residency at VGH Hospital, part of UBC as well. That's where you met my wife, Allison. She was doing a residency as well at the same time. You were hired on as staff at the BC Cancer Agency, and you've been with them since then. And you're splitting your life halfway between the Okanagan and Vancouver at the moment. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
There we go.
A little bit less traveling right now.
Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely. And Vania, you graduated from University of the Pacific back in 1998.
97.
97, pardon me. There we go. So you're both 97.
Yep.
There we go. And there's a scholarship after your father at UBC, is that right, for dentistry?
It's an endowment fund at UBC, that's correct.
And your whole family is quite involved with dentistry, a lot with the Canadian Dental Association of BC.
Chinese Canadian Dental Association.
Yes, sorry, Chinese Canadian Dental Association. And you're in private practice.
Yes.
Here in the Lower Mainland.
That's right.
And the two of you met through mutual friends, and Lina, you've actually worked in Vania's office maybe a number of years ago, and the two of you started this WhatsApp group for BC dentists here, and the impetus for it starting up was the the pandemic that we're currently living under. So if you can give us perhaps a little more detailed background of yourselves and how the WhatsApp group started.
It was Vania. It's a great idea.
I just woke up one morning and, I was texting quite a few dentist friends over a few days after we've been told that it was strongly recommended that we stop working, after the PDC and all that happened. And so I was having basically the same conversation with each single dentist friend that I had on WhatsApp. And I was getting tired of it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put all these people together. And I think it would make sense for us to brainstorm together, because I kind of felt like, the ship had sunk at this point. We're all flailing arms in the water, and we all need to have information to help us through this situation. And so that was pretty much the genesis of it all. And so we started, I opened up the group about 20 dentists on March the 19th. And by about the 21st of March, I had about 256. So that just kind of shows you how many of us wanted to connect and to find information and help each other out. So I think that's how it all started. Blew my mind, really.
So from the core group of dentists, we all shared the group with our own personal contacts, and that's how it flourished quickly and reached the maximum capacity.
Yes, and you had to fleece the group and vet the group and do all this admin stuff that you'd never thought of. You were became victims of your own success.
I guess so.
Yes.
Yeah, we had dentists from across Canada, international dentists. I mean, we had people from all over the place. And so we had to really pare it down and focus on BC and the dentists here. So that's what we did.
Yeah, and there's a big plus to that, because it makes the information very specific to us and quite helpful. And there's other venues for more broad information, and what happens, it really sharpens our pencil here in British Columbia. And so part of the vetting process was you actually the person has to have their picture on the WhatsApp profile and their full name, and then actually a picture of their college license, just to ensure that who they are. And that, I think, is very important. At first I thought I couldn't understand where it was coming from until I chatted to you guys, but then it gives a safe harbor for us to speak our minds and chat.
That's right.
Colleague to colleague, behind closed doors, share our thoughts and frustrations, and then onwards and upwards, and learn in a safe environment.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it mushroomed so quickly, we did get together and spend a bit of time amongst the core four of us to do that vetting process and clean up the list initially and add back in more people, because we wanted to make sure that the group was transparent, supportive, respectful of everyone, and also we didn't want to clog up the thread. So we wanted to be sure that whatever people were posting were relevant to all of us in a concise manner and also evidence supported. So we went through this page here of the participants list, and we spent, I think the first night was 3 or 4 hours of making sure the vetting process was clean.
And I still didn't get dropped. You guys are good, but you're not that good.
We would never drop you.
Dodge the bullet.
So then, in addition to that, Vania set up clear guidelines, because how we started it was we just wanted to be supportive of each other and absorb as much information from each other, but then it kind of mushroomed beyond that. So then this is what Vania drew up.
Yes. So that was the beginning.
So it's been modified a little bit and tweaked here and there over time, but I think it's been pretty consistent now that we have a strong group of members that we've individually vetted.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's great. And the stream of information, because it's like you have many people with their fishing rods in the pond of information, and you know, some of them are pulling up winners.
Yeah.
And it really helps, because then it's a nice place for us to go to. I will say that it's amazing with that many group of people, it's extremely active. And when you're not on the group for like 3 hours,
boy,
wow, you're like, well, I got to play catch up.
Yeah.
I think someone said that per hour, there was one day there were maybe at least 100 posts within an hour. So if you're missing a good part of the day, then you have a long time of reading afterwards to catch up.
But I did want to make sure that people weren't spending 24/7 on it either, right? So I made that very clear, like, you know, this is really great information and it's actually quite addictive.
Yes.
So you have to kind of, you know, put the phone down sometimes and really, and try not to spend too much time on it. But it is great information though.
Yes.
And in that information, we've had all different brainstorming ideas come in. So it's been almost overwhelming.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a great shot, because that's how I kind of feel like we're little fish there, and united we can actually make a difference.
Yeah. And yeah, the group is amazing because we have specialists from all specialties. We have everybody, I think, in this group from every corner of BC, male and female, and I mean, it's just astounding the representation we have, I think. So really good for information for everybody. And
in that group, from what Vania said, there's every type of person in our profession in terms of entrepreneurial spirit, creative, the researcher, the one who rebuts the other. And I'm just showing you this slide because there's some of us who are more willing to follow technology or be a leader and adapt new ideas quickly, but there's everyone from this whole spectrum. And it's great that, like that previous picture showed with all the fish following the shark, I think all of us will be along this platform eventually where they're comfortable, but this is a great forum to give as much information so everyone can make their own choice as to where they want to be on this curve.
Yes, no, absolutely. You have the trailblazers, the people on the cutting edge, the people who are perhaps, you know, and inevitably when you're on the cutting edge, you're going to make a wrong turn here and there. And then you have the people just shy of that. And then you have the people way behind that. and we get a wealth of opinions, which is quite helpful because you can't see the forest for the trees sometimes when you're working on something, and then some of the feedback is quite helpful. It's like, oh, I didn't even consider that. So we've had some great information. What would you say would be some of the most important topics that have come up?
Well, I highlighted some of them actually in this next slide.
There we go. Yeah.
Some of the ones that stood out for me, and some of these topics, there were like 2, 3, 4 days of conversation just on one topic.
Yes.
And it's great having 256 brains put together, and you know we disseminate and then come back with all our ideas. So it's faster, it's more efficient, more productive, having 256 of us doing it together than one individually doing everything together.
Yeah. So the bulk buying of the masks from From
the summary. And here's the key points. Let's be efficient and productive.
Yeah. So that's the great thing about this group.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's willing to share, and everybody is good at something, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the power is in the numbers, and the willingness to share is the main thing. So
yeah, like some of us are more in tune to financial and staffing issues,
right.
which is quite helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And then the different benefits that we can access, and the
Yeah.
experience too with the different benefits.
Oh, for sure. It's instant. As soon as someone does something, I mean, it's posted instantly, and then the rest of us do it. It's amazing how efficient this is. So
Yeah.
This
And
has
then,
been a great process in that we can all implement things quickly if we want to, or take the time to peruse, review all the information that's posted in their own comfortable time frame.
yeah, there's no rush. I mean, it's there for you, and we all have our own personalities, right? So whatever you're comfortable with, we have a lot of time now, right? So, whichever way you want to do it. We don't want to pressure people, it's just, it's very fast and furious though, the group for sure. But, you do it in your own time, whatever you're comfortable with is.
And some of the comfort to me comes in this group in that it is posted quickly. We're finding answers quickly versus I found previously, if we're waiting for others in an organized fashion, then we're not as secure feeling if some of us have that personality where we want to know the answer right away. So I'd rather have the answer right away, and then I can go back to review it instead of waiting for, I don't know what's happening. No one's telling me anything.
Yeah, no, I found that too. The nice thing about this group is we don't have a public persona, so we don't have to worry about saying things that might eventually be wrong, but we're chatting amongst each other and sharing ideas. And I think at the beginning, especially 3 weeks ago, all of us were disappointed at the lack of leadership from the college and the BCDA, but because they were so concentrated on making sure that they didn't make a misstep, which is good, and saying making sure whatever they put out made sense and wasn't just a knee-jerk, scary reaction. And in the meantime, this was great because this really helped us to get up to speed. And then when they did come out with their recommendations, which are evolving, we were able to react to that amongst ourselves and kind of I felt like I had a better understanding of the recommendations quicker because of the group.
Absolutely. We tend to discuss issues before they become solid and concrete, with our college or with our dental association. So it's nice to have that, to have brainstorming and to kind of set us up, for what's next, I guess, for our profession.
So specifically, what were some of the things you could share with people outside of the group? Maybe let's go through this list, just something short about PPEs that has sort of developed for the two of you over the last few weeks. Top interesting points that think others would be interested to know about that perhaps in the group might not be aware of.
Well, I mean, it's still kind of all coming down the pipe, right? What exactly is it? And what do we have to get? Where do we get it? So, we had that bulk order with the N95s, and we learned about the fit testing, the process of the fit testing. People took pictures of when they went to get fit testing. So that was really nice for the rest of us that hadn't done it yet, just to know the process. People are wearing PPEs. They're telling us how comfortable or uncomfortable they are. So just to kind of have that review, I guess, from other people that have kind of been there, done that. So it gives the rest of us that aren't working right now some time to kind of go through that process. So, yeah.
So yeah, it really helped you with the mask issues, which is huge. And telling a good mask from a bad mask is huge as well. Because there's a lot of people wanting to sell anything and call it a mask, right?
That's right. At this point, people will want to sell us anything to get us back into practice. And so this is the difficulty of it, right? There's a lot of emotional buying right now, I think, with us. And a lot of panicking with the research as well. So this group kind of grounds all of us, I think, that we're all in the same boat together here. And a lot of us are practice owners. So we truly understand the situation. So that's a nice thing to have for having others in the same boat. So
Now, your practice is closed at the moment, Vania?
yes, I'm just taking emergency calls, and so that's about it.
Performing teledentistry.
That's right.
Yes. And restricting yourself to home as much as possible.
That's right.
Yeah. And how about you, Lina?
Both our practices are closed, but we have been doing teledentistry.
Yes.
One of the other partners has been going in, but even less and less the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
And in the meanwhile, we are upgrading some of our Vancouver practices based on the BC CDC recommendations, although they're not set in stone for dental.
Yeah.
I think we're just kind of being ahead of the curve a bit in terms of giving patients who do come back, when they come back, a bit more sense of security. But then again, not everyone can afford to do all the recommendations.
Mm-hmm. And the BC CDC is the British Columbia Center for Disease Control, is that right?
Yes.
And they have recommendations for, and specifically, were you speaking to air quality?
Yes. So there's a certain link that will talk about respiratory protection,
Mm-hmm.
in particular aerosol generating procedures.
Mm-hmm.
So I always want to inform people and give them access to the information so that they can make their own choices.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why they've worded all these recommendations as we recommend or we strongly advise, but it's not mandated yet because we don't want to trigger panic buying or over purchasing. But then again, some people may say, well, I'd rather be safe than sorry, and also give patients comfort in knowing that we're caring for them. We're trying to do as much as we can in our power, whatever limited power we may have, to upgrade our offices.
Now, is the BC CDC, do they have influence on how dentists act, or what is their jurisdiction?
So I am aware that our college is making their guidelines based on whatever the current provincial standards are for infection control. And those are based
and those provincial standards are from hospitals?
For hospitals, but for any healthcare profession as well.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's not mandated, they're just recommendations. So time will tell as to what our colleges will tell us. Mm-hmm. And also COVID is so unpredictable. We don't know enough of it for them to give us set guidelines. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Yes. We don't know what we don't know, but I guess the college is looking at what the hospitals are doing, not necessarily taking that and saying dentists and physiotherapists need to do that, but that's what they're looking at. I mean, it kind of makes sense. You might as well look at the safest, most well-developed air quality control and get a good understanding of that while we're in the midst of this unknown pandemic, and then at a later date figure out the best fits.
And I would caution that when you're reading information on, if you're part of our group, take it with a grain of salt, because
especially my posts. Big grain of salt.
Yeah. We
don't
know what we don't know, and try to focus on what you can control. Yes, there may be all these other countries' recommendations, what they've experienced, but really what it will come down to is what are we experiencing in BC? That's why BCDA and CDCA are very deliberate in their recommendations. What is relevant?
What would you say to help them so they don't necessarily have a rough time of it now that you've gone through it and if you were to do it again? What would be your tips for someone starting a new group?
Well, I think at this point, just looking back at everything, pick a core group that you trust, that you can work well together, and create some guidelines before you start inviting people and such. So I've been very blessed. I mean, I have Lina and then Jimmy Chan and Melinda Ho, and I asked them about a week after I started the group, and I need help, guys. It's too much for me to manage for one person. One person cannot do it. I would be on 24/7. So I feel very lucky to have these friends to help me out. But that's what you need. You need a really good core group that will help guide, the bigger group, and we're not on 24/7. So it's nice to have probably at least one of us at some point to help the group manage and police and such. So, but guidelines for sure.
So 5 admins for a group of about 260?
Four
Four.
of us.
4 admins for a group of 260.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're just monitoring the conversation, making sure it's following the guidelines, and carefully shepherd everyone back. If not,
back to point.
Yes.
Get on point.
Yes.
Private conversations out to the group, please.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, and
That's
try
a
to keep the information a little bit concise.
Mhm.
I did find, though, Lina, thanks for the tip, putting it on my computer was a lot better. Not all the time when you're moving about. It's nice to have it on the phone, but actually when I'm sitting down at the computer, I found it easier to import, export images, to write, to read, because it's a bigger screen. And I'm not relying on my thumbs and getting all those misprints. But so WhatsApp can be downloaded onto your computer, which I found was quite helpful.
Yeah, the great thing about WhatsApp is that you can do a media search and a chat search. So if you're trying to look back for a photo that was posted or an article, a PDF, then it's easy to go to the media search, or a specific topic you want to review the conversation, you just do the chat search. So that's why we've asked our members to stick to the guidelines, because the more you don't, the harder it is for us to go back and search for relevant information.
No, absolutely. So what's what would you say is the new normal around the corner with your crystal ball, Lina?
Well,
There we go. This is your sterilization room.
I hope not.
You move quick. Holy crow.
Well, I'm hoping the new normal will be based on the solutions to COVID in general. So this is vaccine development. So the ideal would be if all our dental offices had a rapid, reliable, specific test. And I know that the tests that are being released now by Henry Schein are something that might not be reliable, especially with the recent news that out of South Korea, there's patients who've recovered but are now being retested and they're positive again. So I want something reliable that we can put into our office, so that it gives us a sense of safety, security, and ability to proceed with the treatment. And in the background of all these slides, I've put a picture of the slide that was posted by UBC. So they're working on hopefully a treatment to stop the point of entry for COVID. So I think what is going to be put in our offices is based on overall management of COVID. So hopefully a vaccine will come about. And then our standard of PPE is probably going to go up for a temporary time until the general public health authorities can tell us that we can be rest assured that we're not facing a questionable work environment again. Because a questionable work environment will be this. We'll be wearing that.
Watch out, kids.
And hopefully we're not permanently like this.
There we go.
Oh gosh.
Yes. No, absolutely. Yeah, it's doesn't make for dental phobes loving dentists anymore if you walk in. I am your dentist.
Kids might like this. The pedo offices will benefit.
Absolutely.
But I'm sure in addition to the PPE, we'll have higher standards for air quality control. And who knows what that may be. It may or may not include air purifiers. It may or may not include negative air pressure rooms. But that may put a majority of dental offices in peril in terms of needing to have renovations to comply.
Huge. Yeah, it could be huge. So,
but we will make it through, I think, stronger together apart, just like the past generations of dentists have gone through polio, SARS, H1N1, MERS, AIDS, right? With each thing came a change in our protocols, and we're still here. So I'm sure we'll still be here standing, stronger, more informed, a little bit heavier from all the eating.
Well, that's why mask use at home is useful.
Yes.
Stops you from eating. And I'm just practicing for when I'm in the office.
Very true.
All right.
Mhm.
All right. The aerosols are the new poison, which is back in the AIDS day, it was blood.
I know.
Mhm,
And now it's air quality. And
mhm.
I remember the air quality guys chatting to me about a year or two ago, and I remember just I couldn't get engaged. I couldn't get up to speed. I couldn't get interested, providing me with all the information. Like,
Mhm.
oh, and honestly, the thing that put me off was when they talked about ionization and how it ups your mood. And
Yes, I
Right.
remember
I
that.
just thought, oh, wingnut,
Yeah.
forget it.
Yeah.
And now I'm back looking at all those papers. I'm like,
I know.
my God, I wish they hadn't have sold the kind of, you know, you're going to look great and be able to run faster with this machine. No, it cleans garbage. Like they missed on the marketing a little bit there. Oh, and okay, there we go. The slide.
There you go.
So that's great. We covered a lot of great information there, guys. I really appreciate all that. And now that we're in the sort of the tail end of our interview, any last thoughts? Top 5 tips from Lina.
I think this has pulled us together as a profession more. It's a very self-isolating profession.
Mm-hmm.
And by connecting on a chat group like BC Dentists, it's making us stronger together apart and more connected, especially when we're doing this social distancing and self-isolation. So I hope, number one, that we continue these type of forums, because it's only more efficient and productive if we work together as a team. A team of dentists, not just a team with your staff, team with dentists as well. So that's number one. Number two, still practice evidence-based dentistry. There's all these ideas that we're brainstorming. That's great. We want them to keep coming in, but be sure that any piece of information you bring into your group is backed up by research, because then we can go off on a total tangent, and we want to be a credible, reliable source of information. Number
So my
3,
vacuum cleaner idea in the office was not a good one.
Number 3, I hope moving forward, I know BCDA was in the middle of putting together a bulk buying group, but then that kind of got stalled due to COVID. I think if we each form our own groups, independent of BCDA, if they don't have that going, there is strength in numbers for buying in addition to information.
For sure.
And number 4, keep brainstorming new ideas, even if it's not evidence-based. Just gather your evidence slowly, and you'll come up with something great for the profession and the community. I think that's 4 points. I'm sure Vania has a few points.
There we
Stay
go.
home.
Yeah.
Keep sharing. Stay together. So that's about it.